Hi, it's Jan Beta, and you probably remember my Amiga 500 restoration series that I did for Christmas last year, 2018 that is. I kind of left the series right in the middle because I didn't finish in time for Christmas to have it all working. And yeah, I had a halfway working Amiga 500 for Christmas, which was fun. But then some other stuff happened, and I abandoned the series a bit. So I repaired the RAM expansion a while back, and I have some updates I wanted to share with you to bring this to some kind of closure, at least. So here we go. So it still looks pretty good. The retro writing job, which isn't that long ago, but it's been 4 months or so, so it still looks pretty decent, a lot better than before. I seem to notice a slight re-yellowing already. Usually you see an effect after a year or so. So if you're retro writing things, be aware of the fact that they do yellow again. Basically the yellow comes back after a while. But for most of the stuff I did retro writing on, it didn't come back fully yet. So I started retro writing like 2 years ago, I think, or something like that. And as of now, none of the pieces I retro writed came back to its fully yellowed color. So it lasts a while at least. This one pretty much looks as good as new still. So that's fine. The thing that broke again is the drive. I suppose the head came loose again. There was kind of a stunt repair thing. I glued back the upper read-write head in the internal disk drive a while back, and it lasted quite a while, but when I was ready to fully use the Amiga, it came loose again, and basically that's not a repair that's very permanent, unfortunately, it seems. So instead of trying to do that stunt again, which I think I got very lucky that worked at all, I'm just going to replace the drive in there. So here's a much yellower spares Amiga I have, which is not... It's in working condition, but it's not in very great shape. This is the RAM expansion I repaired last time I tested it with this Amiga. I'm just going to get it out there and put it in the other Amiga, I think. In my original Amiga. So there we go. I don't believe I had this one open at all. I don't even know which motherboard revision is in there, I guess. So, okay, there we go. And it's a whole different, it's a Matsushita drive. The other one had a Chinon drive, but these are all interchangeable, so it's just... I'm probably going to put a Gotek in this one or something and make it my living room Amiga thing, kind of gaming console-like thing. Although, of course, Amigas are much more than gaming consoles. There's a lot of rust. This is going to be some restoration sometime. So, watch out for another Amiga restoration. This one is actually in pretty rough shape. A bit rougher than my Amiga was. And it's a Rev 5 board, just like on my Amiga. I'm going to clean this up a bit. And I'm going to put the screws back in so I don't lose them, which is good practice. And I'm also going to do the usual lubrication job. I think this one, the shielding is secured in with 2 screws there. so I'm gonna have to take those off. Doesn't look that bad from the inside. That's interesting. So what I usually do with these is to clean this little drive here, this rail, and lubricate the rails on which the head travels, which in this case are a bit hidden. No, they aren't. There they are. There's a rail. That's the rail it travels on. And you basically clean off the old lubricant with isopropyl alcohol and then reapply some silicone grease. That's how I do it. And I'm going to clean the heads as well, but very, very carefully, because I have the suspicion that I damaged them, or that I knocked the upper head loose last time I did that, and that caused the whole fault. Maybe. I'm not sure about that, of course, because I didn't test it properly before. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So now to reapply some new grease, and as usual I'm using my silicone grease, Silikonfett in German, which is just random stuff I bought off eBay a while ago, which works very well for me. It's like a paste, not a liquid, which makes it stick to stuff longer, which in this case, of course, is a good idea, because you want the lubrication to last a while. So I'm doing the lubrication before I'm cleaning the heads, which is, don't know if it's necessary, but I think it's a good idea to make sure the head doesn't get any lubricant on it. So, and if it does, you're going to clean it off afterwards anyway. It's probably a good idea. So now for the head, I'm just using a Q-tip. So there we go. That's all I want to do to this one. Let's close it up again. Let's close some of. Let's put some alcohol in here to clean off the dirt. Okay, I think we're good to go. Let's open up my original Amiga 500. And it is a different assembly, so we're going to have to go with the non-retrobrighted, slightly yellow knob, but it's gonna be alright. So okay, this is kind of like the first time the new components are in there, and yeah, well, just going to see what happens. Let's see. And it's a yellow screen. Because the freaking drive is not working correctly, I guess. I don't know. So it turns out that I don't have a working disk drive. The other one I put in there didn't work either. So I ordered one off eBay, an original old one from back in the day, and I've connected my Go tag back up for now, so I'm going to be able to test the Amiga at least, and the memory expansion thingy. So I'm going to boot up my tool disk and see. So, and as you can see, the memory expansion works. We get a full megabyte, or what's left of the megabyte after the workbench is loaded. So that is working. Clock's also working still, so I'm waiting on the disk drive, but I've made some more progress that I want to show you. I think you remember the A1010 disk drive that I also tried to repair and refurb, and it didn't work last time, didn't work at all, and I was contemplating if I got the polarity wrong of the power cord and stuff like that, which could potentially damage these drives. Yeah, as it turns out, this is a working disk drive. It had something to do with the CIA that was broken on the Amiga originally. Now with the working CIA, this is working perfectly fine. Let me boot up the tool disk again and show you. And I remember the sound from back in the day. This is really, really, really clunky old drive, but it sounded like that from day one, so these drives were pretty loud. So this is my fonts disk I just inserted there. And as you can see, this is one of my old discs where I like collected fonts, and there's probably not much to see. It was just a random disc that there's not much to see. All the files on here will be hidden because they don't have icons, but I can probably start up some tool here. I can show you that this works. Let's just start up Diskmaster 2. It should work. This is from the GoTech, obviously, that I'm starting Diskmaster. So here's Diskmaster. Let's DF1 is the external drive. Let's see what's on there. And I so want to use this setup to do something and stream stuff, and yeah, there's a lot of fonts I collected that I used back in the day. Pretty nifty. So that is working too. So the setup is nearly complete. I'm waiting for the drive, which will magically appear during this video or one of the other videos. And there's one other thing I want to show you in the meantime. So you probably remember the 1084, the broken one that I tried to repair in the first video of the series actually. This is another 1084 that I found for really, really inexpensive on eBay. It was listed as broken, but when I looked closer, it turned out that only the power switch is broken, and it's missing the flap here, the door with the Commodore logo. So I figured I could as well just use this for now before I'm able to fix the other 1084, or maybe I am not able to fix it ever. I don't know yet, because I haven't really tried anything further with it, because I'm scared of CRTs quite a bit. Still, I figured I just can take the flap off the other one, put it on here, and repair the power switch, which is something that I feel I can do. So, yeah, that's a working 1084. That pretty much completes the setup, except for the disk drive now. And yeah, waiting for the disk drive. Here's the external A1010 drive in action, by the way. And it has some errors there, but that's probably because the disk is pretty old. It is fully working. And I cleaned it a bit, lubricated it in the last video, so it's as good as new, nearly. So that's cool. At least something worked in this restoration. Yeah, just have to clean this a bit, but that's not a huge deal. So, and of course, I'm going to take a look inside this before I let it run for any extended period of time and replace some of the capacitors and stuff like that. Let's see if it's all good in there. It's a couple of weeks later, actually, and I managed to find a suitable disk drive for the Amiga 500. This one has a 3D printed button, and it is in there pretty nicely, and I think it's not gonna be that obvious. It's a bit of a bummer, but the original button doesn't fit this particular drive, so we're going to go with this. So let's see if we can connect this up and get it to work, hopefully. This connects only one way. And this connects only one way to this way. Okay, turning it on the Amiga with the new drive for the first time. And gives a nice clicking sound, which is pretty promising. And it continues to click, so let's see if it reads the disk. It does. This is the Amiga test kit, actually. That's pretty handy. I didn't have that before. I saw people using this, but I never used it because I didn't have it. That's the Keir Fraser. Is that how his name is pronounced? I don't really know. Amiga test kit, quite well known thing. The build from March 14th this year, so that's very recent too. Nice. So this seems to work. I'm just going to test the floppy drive, run the floppy drive test, and do a retest. Slow motor spin up. Okay. Well, that's not the worst thing in the world, I guess. Yeah, it's looking pretty good actually. And it sounds really quiet. This was one I got from eBay from a seller that seemed to know what the business was and claimed that it was cleaned and lubricated, so I don't have to do that again, which comes in pretty nicely. So somebody else lubricated this, and it wasn't all that expensive. So thanks to the eBay seller who did obviously didn't promise this for nothing. So this was lubricated and was clean and it is properly aligned, which is all stuff he stated in his eBay listing. So there are people that are honest on eBay. Thanks for that, whoever that was. Can't remember the eBay handle. So now all that's left really is to reassemble the thing. And then finally, I have my Amiga 500 back. And I have my setup put together again like it was, for the most part. Still have to do some work on the monitor, but most of the other stuff is working, which is pretty amazing given the fact that this is a 1987 machine. My 1987 machine. Oh, my father's back then, and then later my machine. And it's still alive again, and yeah. Let me reassemble this. For the last time in a while, hopefully. Yeah, and that eject button, it doesn't look 100% original, but it's pretty close. And I think it's good enough for me. I don't have a fitting. They are all slightly different for each model of the drive, so I don't have a fitting one. Although I have like 3 or 4 broken Amiga drives laying around that I could salvage the button from, none of them seems to fit this exact model. This is like a more recent model from the 90s, I guess, and my drives are more or less all from the late 80s. So I don't have a better one at the moment, so this is gonna have to do. But I'm pretty happy with how this turned out finally, and yeah. I have this setup now, which is my original setup from back in the day, Amiga 500, the A1010 drive. I have the Commodore 1084 monitor that I am going to do some work on, but that's gonna have to wait because I'm so happy with this machine at the moment that I don't want to waste any more time. And let me tell you what I'm about to do. So obviously the first time I ever saw an Amiga in real life, I think, was my father's Amiga, which was this exact Amiga that he bought in 1987, in summer of 1987, and brought it home with a color monitor and stuff like that. That's the setup I wanted to recreate, was basically his setup with this, and later a second drive that he bought, which is this exact drive. He upgraded the Kickstart version to 1.3. It had a 1.2, obviously because 1.3 wasn't released at the point he bought this. Then he went on to buy what were kind of life-changing computer games for me. That I had a C64 at the time when he had his Amiga, and I played like a gazillion great games. But the games on the Amiga were pretty stunning compared to what the C64 could do. And there were things like, pretty quickly, there were things like the Amiga version of Zack McCracken that he bought that I still have. There were things like the Amiga version of Populous, which was like, it blew my mind to play that. And stuff like Emerald Mine, which was a Boulder Dash clone, but a really, really sophisticated one, which was like my first contact with a Boulder Dash like game. And I remember playing that as a kid, and I still have the original disc with like the high scores from back in the day on it and stuff like that. So there's a lot of memories that I relate to this exact machine. So this is pretty special for me that I got this up and running again finally. I was planning to do this for Christmas now. It's nearly half a year later or something. So yeah, it didn't quite work as intended, but I got sick. I had some issues. I had some real life stuff happening around the video making, so I couldn't really finish the series. So consider this kind of a preliminary finish closure of the series. Except for the monitor, which I will have to do some work on when I find the time. Yeah, but this is now working, and what I'm going to do is I have, some of you might have heard that I have a Twitch site now. Like, Twitch is this platform for streaming gaming footage, and I've been streaming like 4 or 5 times there together with my friend Turamba, who also has a Twitch channel and a YouTube channel you can check out. He's like a professional, or he's an aspiring professional streamer. Mostly does like modern strategy games, Total War series stuff. But a really nice guy, and he also had a C64 as a kid. So we played some C64 games, some of our favorites and stuff, and we are planning to make that a monthly series. So feel free to check out my Twitch stuff. It's linked in the description below. There's going to be regular or semi-regular streams of me doing streams of my favorite games on real hardware. What I wanted to get at is, what I plan on doing is to play a game that defined a whole genre of games, that defined the platform Amiga for me, even though it's not as graphically overwhelming as many other titles, but it's just such a good game. And it is this exact one, actually. This is Monkey Island, The Secret of Monkey Island, the first in the Monkey Island series. I think this is still considered by many by far the best adventure game, by many even the best computer game ever made. And I have to agree, it's one of my favorite games still after all these years, and I played it like I think like 15 times or something. I bought like 5 different versions of this for different platforms. Last one I bought was like the special edition one for iOS, I think, to play it on my phone. And yeah, it's just a long-term favorite. I didn't really like the special edition graphics, by the way. so I switched it to the old original graphics. I'm going to play through Monkey Island on my Amiga, the hardware I first experienced Monkey Island on my Twitch, starting tonight. So the day this video comes out, you can click on my Twitch. I'm probably going to put some time into the description of this video where you can watch my Twitch. And there's always, the videos are archived there, so you can always watch them at a later point if you missed the live stream. Of course, it's very much appreciated if you join the live stream. I'm going to chat with people, and I'm actually, this is obviously, because I am German, this is the German version of the game. So I only have the original for the German version, but it is probably okay if I play the English version. I'm doing that because most of my audience is not German, but English or American or Canadian or Australian or from somewhere else where people understand English, because I'm doing my video stuff in English. So the Twitch streams are going to be in English as well. So yeah, starting tonight, playing Monkey Island on Twitch. That's my announcement. Yeah. Okay, I found the original discs that are stored separately from the box, so I'm going to try the original discs. I think they still worked last time I tried them. Yeah, that sounds promising. It's not a wonky disc or anything. So, and of course I'm going to make backup copies of the discs, and I'm going to use the English version, obviously, as I said. So we have to do the copy protection thing, which is finding this pirate on this wheel that turns. Let's see. And he was hanged in Jamaica in 1613. Chris Hülsbeck did the music conversion, by the way, and it's genius. I love the Amiga version of the music. So much for now. I don't want to spoil the whole game, so I'm not going to start to play this. Hopefully see you tonight in the stream. Thanks for watching. Thanks for having the patience to keep up with my weird scheduling of stuff and closing this now. Yeah. Hope to see you again on this channel. Hope to meet you in the chat later today. Thanks for watching. I'm Jan Peter. See you next time. Bye.